Hi there. Hi, everybody. My name's Amanda. I'm
And
the founder of Electric Runway, and this is Laurenti from
I'm the
WTVOX.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
And today we're going to be interviewing a panel. If we could invite our panelists up. Maybe we'll just take a moment and share a little bit about ourselves. So Electric Runway is a future fashion and content series. We illuminate the future of apparel, retail, and consumer products.
Hi. I don't know if you've paid attention when Aldo mentioned his Trojan horses that are going to change the industry and the world and construct a better future for all of us. So I've realized something that most of us creative minds are failing at, and that's the financial part. So highly creative individuals, they tend to ignore the finances, and I've made that mistake myself in the past, and with tragic consequences. So I've put together a platform dedicated exclusively to innovative minds that allows them to commercialize the products and allow them to create in the future.
And so together we're going to be moderating this panel. Thank you so much for your presentations today. It's very interesting work that you're all doing, and even though it's different, I think there's similar threads that we can talk about throughout. So I'd like to start by first asking, we've seen so much experimentation in the last few days, whether it's in the exhibit area or in the work that you're doing, and within the context of an exhibition that is focused on industry, on business, I'd like to ask, what do you think the value of experimentation and conceptual art is within the context of industry and business? It's an open question.
I think pushing the boundaries.
Pushing the boundaries.
Pushing the boundaries, you see all the beautiful machines here, they're all developed long-term for a certain purpose. But sometimes the purpose can be adjusted to something else.
Can you hear Bradley in the audience? Can you hear him? Okay,
I think that is beautiful to see that there are creative people who put things out of the context and then can create maybe different industries and different kind of directions. And with the prototypes in the exhibition is a really clear example of how you could embed that.
How you could bring it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar, I know you spend a lot of time in academia. So when you're teaching, are you focused on the experimental, the conceptual? Are you pushing your students to think outside the box in that way? But the reality is when they graduate, they're going to have to work within the context of the industry. So how do you balance that as an academic?
Yeah, I would say that you can also experiment in industry. So you can actually collaborate with companies and actually somehow take or give them the time that they don't have to try out things. So part of the work I do, it's not done at the lab. It's actually done on someone else's place. Because there is no point for me to buy super expensive weaving looms or knitting machines just for 3 or 4 pieces. But and also, more importantly, I don't have the knowledge of using the machine to the extreme as they know. But I can maybe see that what they call mistakes, or what they call glitches, or like frustrations, actually, I can see this as maybe a way to understand the material better or the machine better. Because sometimes we try to frame the material and frame the shape when maybe we should let it evolve and emerge and see what it is. So we tend to copy the things we do with other techniques to the new ones. We transfer what we know to the new techniques, but actually each machine has a outcome which is unique. Each machine has an agency, has an intent, and we need to understand that in the same way that you can ask people to do what you want, you can ask machines to do what you want.
I have a question that applies to Raquel, Oscar, and Moon. So I very much like your projects, and I like what you're doing at expanding the body capabilities and living new experiences and new realities as you framed it. Now, having an implant is not something that I would personally do, and I don't know if people in the audience would embark on having an implant. Not yet, maybe in the future. But I feel that through the exploration that Oscar does and through the designs that you create at the intersection of body, a new layer of skin and the environment, we can achieve new experiences. What type of materials do you think that would allow you to have that connection, Oscar, human, environment, and allow you, would it be possible to have new senses outside of what the body can provide that would automatically translate to the brain?
You want to say something?
Well, no, actually, yeah, you're right. Maybe to actually, I'm starting also to create like a jewelry and a dress to also to have the seismic sense that maybe will be more available, or like people would wear it more than an implant, as you say. And yeah,
What I meant
materials,
is that we are limited at the moment to our senses to experience the surrounding environment.
No, no, we're not limited. We're losing it.
We're losing it.
Basic instincts, what I told before. Temperature, look on your phone. What time is it? Look on your phone. We lose basics, ideas of our instincts.
Yes, what I meant is that do we have certain materials? Are you exploring certain materials that would allow you to interact with the body and the brain, or bypass even the tactile sense that we have, and communicate as a garment directly to the brain and allow you to experience new senses rather than having an implant in your body?
Well, I would say my personal opinion is that any material does that. So what I mean is that we have like how this garment touches my skin creates a sensation, creates a feeling, and also at the same time transform my understanding of the world. So if I wouldn't be wearing clothes, now I would be in a strange situation here, but also I might be cold outside, or maybe I don't want to be in stage. So whatever I wear, whatever I have on me, transforms what I can do in the world. And I think that everything from the shoes to the stage to the microphone has an impact. So our bodies are not, our identities are not shaped just by our bodies, but everything else that's now part of us. So we are already, in a way, all cyborgs. We are all connected to I don't know how many things. We can live without internet. We can live without putting some kind of strange paste on the hair. So what I mean by that is that everything has an effect, and I would say that it's not a specific technology, it's not electronics that is going to change it, it's not like some kind of carbon-based material, it's not just spider silk, but all of them will shape the way we are, and I would say that every new material, every new technology that emerges, we need to rethink. It will make us rethink our understanding and our way to be in the world. And I really like what Moon was saying, so not because we are working on or in the body things, means that our context is ourselves. So I'm really, really happy that they're making this connection to even bigger things, that it's not just my surroundings, but also the world or like the space itself.
And so, no, go ahead, please.
In our case, that we're working with materials that sometimes are not like thought as fashion materials, that make us more conscious of the materiality in our body. For example, if we look at architecture, or look at disposed industrial elements, and we try to put them in our body, we look at how these materials work in our body. It puts you in a limit that make you think more about this connection with other disciplines.
And I wanted to ask about the ethical implications. You're all working to a certain extent on projects that are extending the body, extending the senses. And it seems like as we move closer and closer towards an era of augmentation, if we're not already there yet, how do we try and draw a line of what is human and what is cyborg? Has that line already been blurred? If your 15-year-old kid wants to get an implant, do you let them? Right? What are the ethical implications as we walk down this path of wearable technology?
For me, in the Cyber Foundation, we actually don't do projects with the teenagers. We told them to be 18 already. And also, I think it has to be a personal choice. So we would never modify an animal or a plant. Everyone has to decide by themselves. Also, someone who is not born yet. So it's something that you have to decide during your life. And I guess that's why in the cyber rights also is you need some laws, like if the society keeps uniting themselves with technology, some laws to protect this new society. in the same way, I don't think there's limits itself. It's more about how you use it, no? And Neil always says a really good example, like in the same way we all have eyes, but there are laws of the things that you can see or you cannot see. So I think we can all have technology and use it, but then there's going to be some laws on how you use it, not you cannot do it. It's just how you, yeah.
Anyone else on the ethics?
I think the ethical question would be more, for me personally, define first the cyborg. Define first the human side. The humans have the options to put an iPhone or a credit card for payments or an implant. You have the options to embrace. Depends on how much of the technology embrace your body. At the moment you are maybe 80% human or 80% cyborg, and what is then the human kind of this? So I think it's more the ethical question, define first, determine when you're not human anymore. And then I think it could be another discussion. Yeah.
And it's the age-old question, right? Almost, it's just like Frankenstein's monster. The idea of monster or the idea of cyborg has been there to define humanity. It's only in juxtaposition to humanity that we truly understand what it means to be human, but it is a great point.
I mean, the human nature changes. There is this doctor at Harvard Medical School in the United States. His name is David Sinclair. He has recently had a talk at Google, and he talks about 2 compounds that you can buy from the pharmacy over the counter that would increase the lifespan up to 200 years. This is real science. So that changes the idea of the human body as we know it, ending.
But maybe not the human body, maybe we're creating a third species. The problem is if you're not connected to internet or don't have the technology, who are you in a society? So we have the humans like now, we have at-hands machines or embedded machines, but maybe in the future we create a third species where you have most of the technology embedded and a less humankind. So I think it's not that we as humans can adopt everything. Maybe we are overloaded with emotions, overloaded with visibility. Maybe our brain cannot cope all things. So maybe we create something, a monster where we don't know yet.
But I want to take the discussion. Sorry.
No, usually there's very negative implications about it. Actually, we also define ourselves as Transspecies because we don't think that we are 100% human because there's a new sense, a new organ that is not human. But that doesn't mean that it's not bad. Actually, we had the Transspecies Society, and we had a logo of a circle that is open, and I think this is very visual. Sometimes we think of that humans are very close circle, that we always be like this, but we haven't always been like this. I mean, before being human, we used to be a bacteria, then we were an animal on the trees, and we were on the trees. We became humans, and then now maybe we'll become something else, and we shouldn't be scared about this evolution, because
I think I'm
maybe
very scared. I'm very scared that we create a distinction between people who have not knowledge or not connected to internet, not to technology, and people who have access to good education through the advance of technology. I think we're fragmenting ourselves from a lot of big populations who are not have access to a normal bank, not have access to technology, and we going in a faster speed. And I think that is my biggest concern in terms of
I'm not just saying that sometimes we idealize the idea of human, but actually humans have done terrible things. So maybe not being a human, it will be something better for humanity. Just want to have this idea.
I want to take the discussion back from the physicality of the human body to the mind. So we often in fashion don't pay attention to the mind consciously, but we look at the body and the way we adorn our bodies with garments. But I want to talk, Oscar, this is for you, the question. I saw one of your PhD candidates, Pauline, working on augmented reality and bestowing the body with a new layer of augmented reality garments. Now, that's okay, in my opinion, allows you to take a selfie, superimpose a garment, you do not buy the product, you reduce the CO2 emissions by shipping the product to you and returning it most likely if your consumption is targeted towards looking good. But what is the impact that it leaves on your mind from a self-identity perspective? if you remember our discussion last night, self-identity, you have the actual self and how you feel at home in the comfort of your home. Nobody cares about you. You might have jam on your t-shirt. It's all right. It's home. And then you have the ideal self, the way you see yourself in the future, the one that you want to become. And having these pictures, Instagram is maybe a good example, allows you to bridge quickly the gap between your identities, but that's a fake world.
Well, maybe I will disagree that it's a fake world, because I think if we spend half of our time online, I wouldn't say it's fake. It's actually
well, the word
part
is
of our...
wrongly chosen. No, I didn't mean fake. I meant it's not a tangible world.
Yeah, but I will also disagree with that, because I think it's tangible. So we are in internet. At this moment, we interact with it. I mean, even if it's ones and zeros, these ones and zeros are somewhere. But also, we talk, I mean, now it's being recorded. This is going to be placed somewhere else. We spend a lot of time with applications, talking to people, being with people. So it's just a different way to be, but it's a way of being. So at the beginning, we were a lot of discussions about, well, the digital is not real and the physical is real, but I would say the digital is part of the world. It's just a different way, in the same way of TV, in the same way of, I don't know, like 3D printing. So it's just a different element. And I think that in the same way that when we are underwater, we behave in a different way. When we are in the digital world, we are in another. I would say that we need to, what we don't know though, it's like how this is transforming, what impact has in our own well-being. So that is something that we don't know. So for example, at some point at the end, even if she was wearing, her idea was to, for Angela was to wear like a green screen dress, only one, and see if she could be able to always wear the same clothing. But of course, that doesn't make any sense, because there are days that are warmer, there are days that are colder. At some point, you are tired of wearing a skirt and you want to wear something else. So she ended up creating a full green screen wardrobe. So the idea that like dynamic fabric will actually allow to make things more sustainable, at least for her, didn't work. She ended up having not the same amount of clothes, but she ended up having quite a lot of clothes that she actually made herself, from plain green to like green with patterns, like some of the people are wearing here, in order to actually explore different things. What is also interesting is that as soon as you create a new medium, there's going to be other ways of communicating, but also other ways of hacking it. So at some point, there were other people actually putting photos on her and posting it on Instagram, tagging her. So suddenly there were these kind of people that were somehow pushing other identities on her. And I think that this is a really interesting point. So how can you somehow protect your identity from others? I mean, it happens now. I mean, a clear example will be, it's the media, no? Or even like journalism. Whatever I say now, I don't have a clue what's going to be written later, or what kind of side of my face will be taken and posted online. So, but I think that there's like, as soon as more connections are possible, and as soon as we don't have anything to defend ourselves in this new digital world, like our relation with others is also changing. So digital bullying is way worse than, it's almost worse than physical bullying.
I see, Bradley, you're a bit concerned about that, and our discussion about the smartphones taking over and impacting on your...
I think it's also a trust issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very trust issue, what we see now, how the digital world is taking over our social world and coming into a living room. I think it's very, very direct, where we spend all our private data online and social media, how we do augmented reality, how do we gaming, how all this, what you said, the digital world comes real close, very private. And this trust issue, I think that is the only thing what is real in the physical world we protect. And in the digital world is very uncertain. I think if you solve that, maybe then we can enhance ourselves and design better technology and better products.
Interesting. I want to shift the conversation a little bit and talk about consumers. How do we engage consumers in wearable technology? Again, this goes back to the idea of industry and business. We're seeing lots of experimentations and one-off creations. How do we actually engage consumers or empower consumers to wear their technology or to experiment if they're not fashion designers, let's say?
I think consumers, they are interested in wearing wearable technology but maybe more wearable technology that are like known, like products that are already known. For example, the smart watches for the wrist. Nobody would, for now it's not so easy that people or the normal consumers use like another type or another wearing technology that is not like something already known, like a typology normally known. But I think that also all this experimentation is at sometimes at the prototype level, and it needs time to be developed. But I think that if we do like this kind of wearable technology, more comfortable to the body, more like if it was like in a skin or like a second skin, it would be like it would have more possibilities. But we have to open like these gaps, because now it's true that wearable technology is more used, in my opinion, like in common elements, but it has to be like open in more open ways.
Interesting.
I think a specialization in certain industries, the sports industries, is very strong when you have to watch and your steps kind of stuff. The medical industries for your pacemaker and your health. So there are very industries where there's a wider consumer impact. In general, you see a big generation who wants to distinguish self, go away from wearables, go away from being connected, just be alone, walk in the woods and not have your phone on. So, and that is a very big group of young people who think from, I go take a walk with my friends, put my phone off, everything. And so to connect them with wearables, I think the industry needs to come up with better ideas instead of using our technology as excuse.
So this links to the discussion that we had, that technology, regardless of how you call it, is just a tool in the hands of the craftsman. Mm-hmm. And you said something beautifully today. You said using technology to go back to the roots and reconnecting with the environment. I find so many beautiful creations that you've put out there that are meant to reconnect back with the environment and the mother nature. Now, there is, well, this is noble and beautiful. There is a problem, in my opinion, in the eye of the consumer. From a consumer behavior perspective, we've evolved into certain beings that recognize someone wearing fur, someone wearing leather as the alpha male. That person has saved the cave against the animals. So it is embedded in our DNA, that perception of luxurious garments that allows me to have a social status or a position in a social context. How do we shift consumers from that perception towards eco-friendly, sustainable, innovative materials?
Storytelling is to set the mindset. I think the creators can set the mindset and let people rethink. Mm-hmm. I think that is at least a step forwards. I mean, you see HP here at industry. You see so many big companies here. Fanuc, all those companies, boring companies. They don't use the really people to embrace them. You can laugh over this reality. I mean, they show their products, they do everything, and they have here creative people, they don't use them. I mean, they need to dare open their management structure. They need to dare open to slow down and say, what can we do with it, and what kind of perspective we can use? And then we become maybe better items. And then we have artists to tell a different kind of their story, and at least give them a chance.
I think as a closing question, maybe we'll take some questions from the audience if we have time. We'd love to know about some upcoming projects that you're working on. You've shared with us your work that you've done so far, but what are you seeing for the future of this industry, and like a specific project maybe that you're working on?
Just on mine, it's doing like I'm creating a stage-based piece about all this experience. And also, I would like to have this new jewelry that reacts whenever there's an earthquake.
And it would be a line that you would sell?
I don't know yet, but I guess, yeah, probably.
I'll buy one. Oscar?
Well, for me, it's like what I was talking about, rethink socio-technical systems of production and how can we bring back a local component and traditional crafts into the equation, and especially realize that when we are designing garments, we're also designing the works that people will have during the whole life. So I think it's also important to think about that too. So more like the bigger picture of like how design can transform not just the use of now just our behavior, but also maybe even the behavior of the people working for all these companies.
And you've just edited a book as well, right? And it's looking at augmented reality and artificial intelligence, if I have that right?
Yeah, so this is like, it's a journal that we are editing at the university, at ELISAVA, and it's mainly like every year we have a different kind of topic. The last year's topic was AI and emerging digital technologies as a design material. And this year we will be working on like future making and how as designers, what kind of skills, knowledge, and attitude do we have to envision these kind of diverse and possible futures that we might or not live in.
Fantastic.
I had a discussion with Bradley today, and we looked at artificial intelligence as a salient designer that takes feed from all the history of humanity and all the problems that we've came across and takes data from all the materials we've ever designed and creates certain unique garments. What Bradley said is we expect the AI to think like us, but the AI might not take in consideration the materials that is fed with and might look at the body as a redundant form, no longer required. What's your take on that?
I don't have a clue what's going to happen, but I think that we need to accept that they will have an agency into the things we do, and actually everything has an agency on what we do, and we should really stop looking at ourselves as the center of the world, and we are just one part of it. So first is to accept that things have agency, and they also co-shape the way we live. And the next step, it's like plants, animals, and the world itself. And I think that for me, that's what's really, really important. I think that, I don't know in what kind of positions we will end up being, but definitely it shouldn't be the center.
Beautiful.
Interesting.
And future projects, Bradley?
Yes, for me, it's more the mindset of the algorithms to use for creatives to change that. Because there's a big percentage of people who are writing all the algorithms from social media and software programming from Autodesk for software for Photoshop. And there's mostly male between 19 and 32 years old. Less female, and they dictate now our output, creative output. And it's so fucking boring. Mm-hmm. We're getting so numb about everything we're doing. So what we're trying now with European Commission is to set the mindset and to use different parameters and test out what kind of love, kindness, sorrow, softness can be embedded to have a different kind of output. So that was a project we're working on.
Lovely. Raquel?
We just did a collaboration with some performers here in Madrid for an event called Veranos de la Villa, and with some kind of scenography and garment design. We would like to experience more with that, with a middle point of being like a dress and something more architectural, and explore it more like the materiality. So this one material that can be applied in a body maybe can also be applied for scenography.
Lovely.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If we could get a round of applause for our panelists. And I'm not sure if we have any time for some questions. I'm not sure. No time for questions. Thanks very much, everyone. I'm sure you can find the panelists afterwards and have a chat with them if you'd like to speak with them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.